What's up, y'all? Ooh, that's a fuck up. Alright. We in this bitch. Okay, I got this. I got that right now. Oh, I just want to check something out real quick before we get into this. That shit is too popular. Hold on. He breaks character.
Oh. Hey, thanks for the gummies. Hey, fuck, nigga, what you said?
No, that's crazy.
Yes, popcorn. Yes, popcorn. Yes, popcorn.
No, this is crazy.
Yes, popcorn. Grab. Slay. grab. grab. Yes, popcorn. Yes, popcorn.
What the hell?
Stop it. Get some help. Y'all remember this chick? Well, I did a video on her not too long ago.
I just found out about her like a week ago. This shit is funny as fuck, bro. How long has this shit been going on, and why is this shit so popular? These niggas making money.
Thanks for the glizzy.
What? Nah, y'all wildin'. Y'all, nah, gee, what the hell? Nah, y'all tweak it. Yeah, no, y'all tweak it. That shit crazy. Damn, nigga, I literally just search Miles M, and that shit is the most popular search result. Ain't gonna lie, that shit too funny. Alright, but anyways, without further ado, we finna get into this video.
Everybody, it's...
Nah, before that, let us do a real intro. So, we doing our stream with this. I think we an hour behind. Yeah, we are an hour behind schedule. But that's cool. I'll give everybody a minute to tune in. But without further ado, how y'all been doing? How y'all doing? I got a whole list of shit that I'm gonna just react to. My YouTube just be busting. If y'all got any suggestions, send them down in the comments below.
Your boy Jubitaz, and today I'll be going over, well, the title should make it clear enough, the 5 most controversial Kage of all time. Now let me start this off by saying that I'll be avoiding any Kage that's too obscure, like the 3rd Mizo Kage that's allegedly responsible for the blood mist, since we really don't know anything about him. I'll also not be including Danzo, since he was never officially the Hokage, and he'd be an obvious number 1 on the list if he was. Before we begin, I ask you this. If you're a fan of Naruto videos and you find yourself frequenting my videos, then I suggest that you subscribe to make sure that you don't miss anything that I post. At number 5, I got Unruly A, the 4th Raikage. Now A's reputation exceeds him as being a hot-headed ninja and someone that'd do a number of selfish deeds for the sake of the Hidden Cloud. The one incident that sticks out is the Hyuga Affair incident. After a supposed peace treaty was signed between the Hidden Leaf and the Hidden Cloud, and the Cloud Ninja were invited to the Leaf, one Cloud Ninja attempted to kidnap Hinata Hyuga when she was just a child. When Hinata's father caught the ninja and killed him for attempting to kidnap his daughter, the Hidden Cloud chose to ignore the fact that their ninja was
Maybe I'm tweaking. Maybe I'm tweaking. Maybe I'm tweaking. But I could have sworn. Well, nah, there is no. I could have sworn that there is no statement that exists of who was the fourth Raikage at that point. Actually, nah, that's not true. Cause no, that's true. He low-key weak as hell for that, I ain't gonna lie.
attempting to kidnap a child and demanded reparations for their dead ninja and asked for Hiyashi's head, which prompted Hiyashi's brother Hisashi, Neji's father, to sacrifice himself instead. When the Raikage was confronted about the event by Kakashi and Yamato, he refused to acknowledge any blame and arrogantly stated that it is common for villages to do what's in their means to better their nation, such as stealing Kekkei Genkai from opposing villages, showing his double standards, that it's okay for his village to kidnap people but not for others, which also revealed that the Cloud Ninja kidnapped Hinata under orders from the Raikage to get his hands on the Byakugan. Even when he called for the 5 Kage summit, A was berating the other villages for their rogue ninjas' affiliation with the Akatsuki. Gaara actually revealed that he'd sought out help against the Akatsuki from the Cloud before and was ignored. And the fact that the Raikage held the summit after his brother B was kidnapped and didn't seem to care that Yugito was captured as well shows the Raikage's true selfish colors. Number 4. Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. The second Hokage actually contributed a lot to the Leaf structure, being the one that invented the Academy graduation system and the Chunin exams. The controversy of his reign lies in his treatment of the Uchiha clan. It was Tobirama that removed the Uchiha clan from the governing body of the village and set up the Leaf police force. Tobirama didn't trust the Uchiha clan, even though they were one of the founding clans of the Leaf. Now, it's not to say that he hated every Uchiha, but he did have unfavorable preconceived notions about the entire clan and wanted to keep an eye on them. So he removed them from the governing body and kept them under close scrutiny, which would cause several members of the clan to harbor ill feelings towards the village. And the domino effect would eventually lead to a coup d'etat and the Uchiha clan's demise. The first Hokage had warned Tobirama against mistreating the Uchiha, and it was Tobirama's cynical views of the clan that pushed Madara to defect. Now, it's not to say that the second Hokage's worries had no foundation, but his cynical views of the clan would lead to their segregation and would cause what Tobirama feared most to become a reality, kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not to mention that assigning a group to become the police force is a sure way to make that group disliked. Even when revived, he showed little sympathy regarding the clan's demise. Another controversial aspect is that one of the second Hokage's disciples, Danzo, would go on to be one of the most corrupt politicians in the history of the Leaf. Number 3. The fourth Kazekage, Rasa. Rasa is controversial amongst the community, mostly in his treatment of his son, Gaara, the would-be 5th Kazekage. It was Rasa that decided to make his son into a Jinchuriki, and sealing the Shukaku into Gaara while he was being born led to the death of his mother, Karura. Afterwards, Gaara was kept in isolation. Rasa didn't even allow his siblings to interact with him, and as the child struggled for control with Shukaku, he was deemed a failure, and Rasa would send squads of assassins after his own son. Rasa's thought process was that if Gaara can maintain control over the Shukaku, even in the most unfavorable circumstances, then he wouldn't be deemed a failure. And to test Gaara, he sent Yashimaru, Gaara's uncle, pretty much the only person that didn't ostracize Gaara, where he instructed Yashimaru to break down the boy, to tell him that he hated him and that his own mother hated him as well. All that to gauge his son's reaction. Of course, Gaara suffered a mental breakdown due to that, and the Shukaku was unleashed onto the Sand Village. This would also deeply traumatize Gaara and turn him into a homicidal maniac. Rasa would also betray Pakura of the Scorched style in an anime filler, where even though Pakura was recognized as a hero of the sand, she was sent by Rasa to an ambush by the Hidden Mist. Rasa and the Sand's council would then blame Pakura's death on the stone, and use that to manipulate the public to further their own agenda. Rasa would also join Orochimaru in his invasion of the leaf, which would eventually lead to his own demise, and put the sand into unnecessary conflict with the leaf. Probably not the best Kazekage or the best father. Number 2 is Yagura Karatachi, the 4th Mizukage. Now I have a video about the blood mist that dives a bit deeper into this, but basically it's unknown to what extent Yagura was responsible for the blood mist, and it's more likely that he reinforced it rather than initiated it. That being said, he's still infamously renowned for his tyrannical reign. He became known for his hand in various crimes, such as exploiting money from the weak and his zero tolerance against any dissent in the Hidden Mist. Decades after his death, and Yagura was still remembered as the savagely leader during the Boruto era. Even Zabuza, who was known as the Demon of the Mist, thought that Yagura was too cruel and launched a coup d'etat to remove Yagura from the seat of power, but he ultimately failed. Now, of course, we all know the reason that Yagura was this way is because he was being manipulated by the masked man's genjutsu. It's hard to tell how Yagura's reign was prior to falling victim to the Sharingan. We know that the Blood Mist era preceded Yagura, so it's reasonable to assume that he grew up in it and probably participated in the graduation ritual. And even though everyone eventually found out that he was being manipulated, they still blamed him for everything. So maybe he was just as bad before being manipulated? Regardless though, he's still remembered as the most controversial Kage to rule the Hidden Mist. And number 1 is Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage. Now this might come as a shock to some people, as Hiruzen is actually seen pretty favorably by many in the Leaf. But the 3rd Hokage has a hand in a lot of the misfortune that befell the Leaf. Whether it's getting a child from the Uzumaki clan to become the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and not even helping out when the clan's getting massacred, or respecting the Cloud's decision to kill Hiyashi when he was just defending his own daughter from getting kidnapped, the 3rd Hokage's reign was filled with questionable decisions. For example, when people think about the Uchiha clan massacre, they usually think of Danzo. And while Danzo definitely had a big part to play, the 3rd Hokage wasn't of no blame. The 3rd Hokage was always stalling, asking Itachi to push the coup so that he could conduct some negotiations. However, these negotiations never occurred. Hiruzen has a habit of letting Danzo deal with the nasty, morally ambiguous politics of the Leaf, which is why Danzo had the degree of control that he did. Hiruzen needed him to do the things that he was too light-hearted to do. When revived, Hiruzen revealed that he was fully aware of Itachi's assignment. Hiruzen letting Danzo run around and do all of what he did had detrimental results to the Leaf. There's even an anime filler where Danzo attempts to assassinate him, and Hiruzen moments later just forgives him. And even Danzo tells Hiruzen that his naivete would eventually lead to his demise. Even when he caught Orochimaru kidnapping and experimenting on children, he let him escape since he was his former student. And in turn, Orochimaru would come to attack the Leaf. He also could have done more for Naruto, considering that his parents' dying wish after saving the village was for Hiruzen to take care of Naruto. And Naruto was left alone with no guidance, no knowledge of his parents, and just a weekly allowance from Hiruzen. The 3rd Hokage did care for his village, and he served for a long term, but there were some areas that he could have improved on. And these are all the Kage that have made it onto this list. All great and powerful men that have made some not so great decisions at a time. That's all I got for today. Make sure you hit that subscribe, drop a like, and a comment.
next we're gonna be reacting to
Minato
video
is
by
the ultimate shinobi. Recently, Minato got his own special one-shot manga, and I have yet to talk about it, and it's long overdue. The manga follows Minato when he's a 14 or 15-year-old kid, and we get to learn some extra stuff about the Rasengan, why it was created, and where exactly he got the idea from. We also get some pretty nice statements in regard to Minato's power and what he's capable of. Let's not waste any more time though. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as I greatly appreciate it. The manga starts off pretty insane. You have Team Jiraiya sitting in front of two Jinchuriki charging up tailed beast bombs. I'll establish a timeline for this in a bit, as there is one key detail in indicating when this manga takes place. The details of this confrontation are completely unknown to us. We don't know if Minato was fighting these guys along with his team or whatever, but it's pretty clear that they've at least been in battle with someone. Minato is breathing heavy in the very first panel of the manga, and he has cracks in his headband and scratches all over his face along with the rest of his team. So I think it's pretty safe to say that they're pretty tired at this point in time. Han and Roshi don't seem to have any scratch marks on them, so it does kind of make it seem like this is more of an ambush. In their dialogue of saying that if Minato and the others really want to fight them, they should have brought the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. This could imply a number of things. Maybe that they were on a mission to get these tailed beasts and they were ambushed by them after fighting a different battle. Maybe they were already fighting Han and Roshi and got beat up. Who really knows? Although I doubt Roshi could beat Jiraiya up since he got beat up by Kisame, or maybe this version of Jiraiya is just weaker than Kisame, not even Kisame level. Han is actually pretty strong,
just stronger than Jiraiya.
Especially when he's using boil release, but for the sake of not assuming too much, just going with the fact that they were all fatigued when this started, and I'll just leave it there. I think it's also worth noting Minato still has to use hand signs to teleport with his flying Raijin at this point in time. It just shows that he's not as proficient with the jutsu as we see him when he was in the main series. This is a possible retcon with this next part though. We're told in the main series that it took Minato 3 years to develop the Rasengan and another 6 months to perfect it. But in this manga, they make it seem like he did it within like 2 days or so. Kushina is excited to train with Minato again for the day, but Minato says he has to go work on a jutsu that's unfinished with Jiraiya in Training Ground 3. And then later on this day, he masters the Rasengan. This is after seeing a tail beast power for the first time with the tail beast bomb in the first few pages, which is where he got the idea for the jutsu in the first place. Minato's team also tells him they need to go report their mission to Lord Third. I guess it's possible he's talking about another mission they went on, one off screen and not the one from the first page. But it does seem like he's referencing that, since that's the mission we saw them go on at the beginning of the manga. So unless the first scene in the manga takes place 3 years before the rest of the manga, this is a retcon. And I do also just want to say, Kishimoto draws the difference between 12 and 15-year-olds very distinctively. The characters from part 1 to Shippuden perfectly illustrate this idea. Let me explain why that's important, but to do that I'll have to show you how I got to the conclusion of Minato's age. In the same scene where Minato is talking to Kushina, we see Kakashi, Guy, and Obito talking to each other in the background. None of them have their ninja headbands on, so it can be concluded that they aren't out of the academy yet. Although we do know that they are in the academy because Guy and Kakashi know each other and they met at the sign-ups for the academy. So it's probably after they enrolled, so they're around 4 to 5 years old. And considering Minato is 10 years older than Kakashi, that makes him 14 or 15 at the time of this manga. Or at least at the time of this panel. So if the other mission was 3 years ago, then Minato should be 12 at the beginning of this manga. These two panels are direct on face shots of Minato at the 2 points in time I'm talking about. The one on the left would be allegedly 3 years from before the one on the right. He looks the same age to me. I'll show a few examples of Kishimoto drawing a character going from 12 to 15 years old to illustrate this a little bit more. Here is Kakashi at 12 and then 14. Here is Naruto at 12 and then 15. Here is Sakura at 12 and then 15. And here is Sasuke at 12 and then 15. All of them look much different between these two ages, so I'm not buying that this first scene was from 3 years ago. So I'm calling a retcon, but that's whatever. Minato learned the Rasengan in a few days as opposed to 3 years. Guess that just makes him more of a prodigy, I suppose. Then we get a callback to part 1 when Jiraiya and Minato are training, and Jiraiya talks about needing your chakra in the direction of the world on your hair, just like he does with Naruto when Naruto is learning the Rasengan. We learn that Minato has 2 worlds, and this is a sign of a genius and gives Minato an incredible grasp of ninjutsu, which I guess makes sense with the fact that he forms the Rasengan after learning this information, and he just has to need the chakra in both directions at the same time. This is effectively the human version of a tailed beast bomb, and he's already got the flying Raijin at this point. I just wanted to take note of the fact that Kushina is watching Minato at this point in his training doing the Rasengan and whatnot, but that'll become important later. Minato decides to name the jutsu the Ice Pop inspired Nimbus Jiraiya Twin World Sphere, which is an absolutely awful name. It's the worst jutsu name I've ever heard, but to be fair, its competition was another jutsu name for Minato, the Scorch Style Nimbus Gale Jet Black Arrow Formation Zero. So yeah, definitely Minato's weakest attribute. We then get from Minato's perspective the reason he created the Rasengan in the first place, and that's to protect Kushina. He says, we're in the middle of a war, and we don't know when we might be sent to the battlefield. That's why I wanted to give you a new jutsu that is specialized for battles against Biju and Jinchuriki, and works in concert with your own Jinchuriki chakra volume. Then he says he doesn't want to lose her, and in an emotionally vulnerable moment, Kurama starts trying to take over Kushina's body, similarly to how he did Naruto. Minato calls it out as tailed beast mode or beatrification, and then gets hit by Kurama's tail off guard and sent flying. I just want to take note of the fact that Kurama's chakra, before getting tamed and rid of its hatred, is still acting like a poison. This is shown whenever he hits Sakura during the fight between Orochimaru and the Four Tails. Just to take into account moving forward that Minato is essentially poisoned going on. Kurama tries to strike Kushina with his tail, but it's suddenly stopped by a ceiling barrier, and Kurama doesn't know who it is, but it's obviously Minato. Now is where the controversy comes in. I'm going to give more than one translation for this because it's one of the main points of controversy, but at least in the Viz original release for the one-shot, Kurama says, the brat, he's not of the Uzumaki clan, and yet he's augmenting the tetragram seal in his own style, a most powerful shinobi ranking alongside first Hokage Hashirama. Unbelievable. Then he asks Minato why a shinobi of his caliber is fussing over Kushina. Now, obviously, this statement is a big deal. I mean, it says Minato ranks along Hashirama in terms of power, but there is obviously some context that needs to be taken into account here. Among the community, there are 4 different translations of this statement, and I'm going to talk about all of them, so calm down before you comment on how I left one out. These translations come from Viz, which is the official, OP Scans, which is a pirating website, ChatGPT, an AI that can translate Japanese, and a guy named Zero2 who I talked to personally to try and figure some of this stuff out. He goes to college for Japanese and is a translator for the Character Stats Wiki if you want a reason as to why I went to him. Before getting into those different translations though, let's add a bit of context in before Kurama made this statement. This is something that's not necessarily shown, but I think it's for the most part very much so implied. I think it's implied that Kurama was watching Minato as well while he was training. After hitting Minato away, Kurama tells Kushina that he told her not to trust anyone and that Minato would eventually come to use her as well. This is after Minato essentially said that he made the Rasengan for Kushina to use whenever she has to fight in the war and to complement her giant chakra due to being a Jinchuriki. Things he did because he doesn't want to lose her. These words could be interpreted in a manipulative, twisted way, like Minato is saying he finds value in Kushina as a weapon for the leaf and he doesn't want to lose that weapon. This is obviously not how Minato meant it, but Kurama, who hates humans and had only been used by them up to this point, likely thinks that's where it will end up. Now, does Kurama have to see Minato using the Rasengan to come to this conclusion? No, I suppose he could just be saying that him making a jutsu for Kushina at all is just him using her as a weapon. I think that knowing Kurama can see outside of his Jinchuriki and that he's been actively trying to break out of Kushina this entire day, and that the seal started weakening as soon as she left the barrier, he was probably alert and paying attention. This I bring up to combat the interpretation that Kurama is talking about only sealing in terms of how Minato is Hashirama's level. Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but one thing that is consistent throughout all four translations I mentioned is that they all use the general term of shinobi being on par with Hashirama or Hashirama's generation. I think the fact that Kurama doesn't specify a category in any of these translations, and then later asks why a shinobi of Minato's caliber is fussing over Kushina, that he's probably just talking about overall ability. He made the Rasengan, which is like a human Biju bomb. Kurama saw him use it, and then he placed a ceiling on Kushina that held Kurama back. It's also possible Kurama is claiming you need to be Hashirama level in order for you to do something like what Minato is doing, since, just being real, Hashirama has zero sealing feats in terms of sealing something away. I know the first thought is that he sealed away Kurama, but that's not true either. During the fight between Madara and Hashirama, Hashirama's wife Mito Uzumaki came onto the battlefield and sealed Kurama into herself, becoming the first Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Kushina tells Naruto this during his training to tame Kurama. The first thought would be, how does Kushina know that? But this new manga provides us with more evidence that she probably does, because we see that she talks to Mito frequently. Another thing I want to point out is Kurama's choice of wording just prior to the Hashirama level statement to provide a bit more context. He says this brat isn't even Uzumaki, but he's enhancing the tetragram seal in his own style. A couple things. For one, we never see Hashirama ever enhance the tetragram seal, and the war arc implies he knows no sealing jutsu to actually put something away. Before you get your pitchforks ready about how King Hashirama does no sealing, yes, I am aware of the deity gates and the 4 Crimson Ray barrier. That's why I am specifically talking about sealing someone or something away inside another person or object, not just sealing in general. The deity gates particularly have the best feat of holding down the Ten Tails. What most people don't know, however, about that is that the head seal takes away your will to oppose, so the Ten Tails wasn't fighting to get out and instead started making clones and whatnot. He also uses this on Madara later on in the war, while claiming that he needs to wait for sealing shinobi to actually seal him away. Then the 4 Crimson Ray barrier, it's pretty obvious this doesn't seal things away, it's just a barrier. Anyway, I'm just trying to say Hashirama is not so good at sealing, so I don't like the interpretation that Kurama is comparing Minato's sealing to his. I also want to mention that there is no proof whatsoever that Kurama ever saw Hashirama using a sealing jutsu. The most we know Hashirama used on Kurama was this wood release jutsu through his wood human to put Kurama to sleep. However, who are also some non-Uzumakis from Hashirama's time that could hold Kurama in some way? These two guys, Madara and Hashirama, at least that we know of. Now, just being honest, even as a Minato hype beast, I think it's kind of ridiculous to say that Minato hits as hard as Hashirama. However, Minato being able to accomplish similar things as Hashirama, like holding back the Nine Tails with sealing jutsu, whereas Hashirama could tame it with wood release and Madara could control it with his Sharingan, saying Minato ranks alongside those guys that way sounds a bit more reasonable and consistent with the rest of the series. Remember, powerful doesn't have to pertain to punching or kicking strength. It can also mean that, at least according to Merriam-Webster, having great power, prestige, or influence, with the word power most commonly meaning the ability to make things happen, with Minato being able to hold back the Nine Tails with his sealing jutsu, as well as possessing the Rasengan that Kurama should have seen. So I think Kurama is saying a guy like this with the Rasengan, I know it's not called the Rasengan yet, but yeah, in sealing jutsu of this level is ranking alongside Hashirama. I wonder if maybe later in the chapter the Rasengan will get a feat that shows how strong it can be. Now, like I said, that's just with the Viz translation, and we have 3 more to go over, but don't worry, they won't be nearly as long, and I'll rapid fire them and go over them all at once. OP Scan says a shinobi of the caliber of the first Hokage Hashirama. There are others like him still around. 02 says there is still such a shinobi since the time of Hashirama of the first generation. And ChatGPT says a shinobi on par with the first Hokage Hashirama. Such a person still exists. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very consistent for all these translations to talk about as a shinobi and not specify any specific thing. There is some stuff to talk about here, but my interpretation isn't really going to change from any of these translations. A shinobi of the caliber of the first Hokage Hashirama, the one from OP scans. This one is virtually the same as the Viz translation, save for the exclusion of the word powerful, but after looking into it, that word isn't in the original kanji anyway, so that was likely just Viz taking liberties when it comes to translating. There is still such a shinobi since the time of Hashirama of the first generation. This is from the conversation I had with an actual person who speaks Japanese. I'll put some of the highlights of that conversation on screen so you can pause and read if you want to. But he says why he thinks this is the best way to translate this scan. This translation differs the most, so I'm gonna have to talk a little bit more about it inevitably. But the part that sticks out the most is Kurama saying since the time of Hashirama of the first generation, rather than saying since Hashirama specifically. But again, that's not really going to change my interpretation. The shinobi we know from back then that can control the Nine Tails were Hashirama and Madara. And if you want to throw her in there, Mito Uzumaki as well. Since Kurama mentions 9 Uzumaki though, I wouldn't, but yeah. My interpretation would just be saying Minato is around that level through Rasengan and Sealing Jutsu combo. When I talked to Zero 2 more about the Hashirama of the first generation part, he did tell me that within the context of Naruto, it is possible to interpret that as saying Hokage. There is still such a shinobi since the first Hokage Hashirama. Again, basically the same thing. And then ChatGPT, which here it gives its breakdown on why it translated it the way it did, and I'll leave that on screen for everyone to read. After this, Minato tells Kurama he likes strong people, people stronger than him. I think including context from Kurama, Minato is talking about mental strength and not physical power or anything. I mean, Kurama is literally saying, why is someone as strong as you or of your level worried about someone like this? And Kurama, being Kushina's Jinchuriki, should know how strong she is. Kushina gets a mental amp and starts wrapping Kurama up in chains, but that only makes him more mad and he starts ripping the chains, causing Kushina to go into V2. Then he cleaves straight through Minato's chest. But just to mention, not only has Minato been training all day, he's currently enhancing a seal, was struck at the chest off guard earlier, and can't really move to dodge or he'd have to release his sealing hand. On top of that, Kurama also hits him with his claws, and obviously piercing damage is stronger than blunt force, and V2 specifically is stated to be really condensed chakra, so it's not like this is a basic attack, as well as the fact that, like I mentioned, Minato is essentially getting poisoned here. We then see Minato enter the seal where Kurama is stored, which is pretty consistent for him. He did it with Naruto, and you can see he's just a chakra ghost here with the little flames of chakra coming off his skin. Then we're getting back into controversial territory as Kushina tightens her chains on Kurama and Minato clashes with the tailed beast bomb. For one, let's get it out of the way that the tailed beast bomb is incomplete and Kushina's chains are on Kurama. That much is true, and it's enough to say that this isn't completely his full power. However, this bomb is still bigger than the one used on Pain, and bigger than the one that Orochimaru said could end his life if it hit him, despite his regeneration, and it also knocked over 3 deity gates. Pain also didn't even get hit by the full-tailed beast bomb. As you can see here, Pain lands and the Six Tails gets up on him. When it starts forming the bomb, Pain interrupts it and shoots it off way over there to behind the Hokage heads. It blows up and then the explosion gets bigger and eventually gets over to Pain again. At the very least, I'm saying Minato should be able to one-shot all of those guys, the signing level people in Pain with his Rasengan, because he got stronger after this, as he had 10 more years to train and fight. And if you don't believe the retcon I mentioned earlier, then he still hasn't perfected this Rasengan. There's also some controversy surrounding if Kurama's at full power inside this seal. I think that this is kinda stupid, especially since that it revolves around Naruto's performance against the Nine Tails when he's in Sage mode. But not only did Naruto not do good against the Nine Tails before Kushina's interference, this is literally where the Nine Tails is sealed away at. all of its power is put to this spot. These people are entering the seal, not entering somewhere where Kurama also exists. There was also some talk about the 8 tails catching the 9 tails Biju Bomb within this realm, but I just want to say that this also doesn't have to be a full power Biju Bomb that he captured, and nothing implies that it is. It isn't large or anything like that. It's not even as large as the one that Skinny Kurama makes later on. Minato also had to win this clash with the 9 tails, because if he didn't, Kurama would have just kept coming and eventually got out, since he already had 9 tails of version 2 out of Kushina and had taken over her body. So that's it for the controversy. At the absolute lowest, I see the feat going, and if you don't want to take Pain's example because the tailed beast bomb, even though it wasn't complete and from a weaker 9 tails actually exploded, the Orochimaru example should still suffice, and Minato should be able to one-shot Sannin. I do just want to mention though that after seeing Minato do this, it kind of...
I don't got a problem with that. That's a W video, you know that. What y'all think, chat? W video or is he tweaking? Next. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video I want to discuss a topic that dates back all the way to the Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball Z. And this involves a question that I've had many people ask over the years with regard to Vegeta and his fight against Goku in the climactic battle of that arc. And that is, did Vegeta actually need to transform into an Ozaru or Great Ape in order to defeat Goku during their battle, or could he have done it even without that? Well, I'm going to be getting into that right now, but before I begin, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling notifications so you can stay up to date with all my future videos, trying to grow this channel and just keep being even more successful. Furthermore, make sure to leave a like if you like this video, share your own thoughts down below, and let's get into the video. So let's begin with that fight between the two during the Saiyan saga. Now, during this point in time, Vegeta already had a significant power advantage over Goku, being over 2 times stronger than Goku, whose power level was a little over 8,000, and Vegeta's power level was 18,000. Now, what happened was Vegeta went to his full power and went to fight against Goku, immediately catching him off guard because of just how insane his power was compared to Goku and his imagining and reckoning of power at that time, headbutting him, beating him down. Goku decides to whip out the Kaioken times 2, which is the initial Kaioken I talked about in the video you can see in the top right corner, and he still wasn't able to really do much against Vegeta. This is what led to him eventually using his Kaioken times 3 in their battle, which of course took his power level to being greater than Vegeta's. However, as King Kai had stated, this is something that Goku should not do because it could destroy his body in the process, which I also talked about why Goku's body gets hurt when he uses Kaioken, another video you can see in the cards in the top right and below the description when you click on view more. Now, with that being said, Goku got the advantage here, started to deal some damage to Vegeta, and in effect started to also shatter his pride. In another video I talked about 5 times that happened. Yet another plug. And this is something that caused Vegeta to be so infuriated that he proceeded to try and destroy the entire planet. However, right before he went to launch his Gallic gun, what was Goku saying? He said, "Sure enough, it looks like using the triple Kaioken is too much for me. If this drags out for much longer, I'll be the one who's done in first." Which is interesting, because Vegeta doesn't really know about any of the damaging effects of the Kaioken at the time. He just thinks that Goku has some ability to increase his power beyond that of Vegeta's, normally without any real significant damage to himself. And Goku once again has to do this to match up to Vegeta by using his Kaioken times 3, putting him at a 24,000 power level, which augments his power up to the amped power that Vegeta's putting out with his Gallic gun, and the two of them are equivalent. until Goku hits him with his Kaioken ×4 Kamehameha, which fires, hits Vegeta, sends him into the atmosphere. But as you can see right here, Goku is gasping. He's really in a bad way right here. So much, in fact, that when Yajirobe comes up to him and slaps him right on the back, it actually causes Goku to scream in agony because he puts so much damage and so much of a strain on his body. However, as Goku mentions, Vegeta is still alive, and really, this attack didn't do all that much damage to him after all. Vegeta at this point not only is incredibly powerful, but incredibly durable. Not only because of the fact that he trained under, 10 times gravity on his home planet before he was destroyed as a kid, but additionally that he's been fighting on the battlefield, and he's just kind of a tank in general, as we see many times throughout the franchise. This is what causes him to try and come up with the plan, as we could see right here. As much as I hate that it's come to this, it seems like I'm left with no choice. I'll transform into an Ozaru and crush him. My strength as a Great Ape is overwhelming, and according to certain sources, the Ozaru is a 10 times increase, although realistically it would make sense if it was even more just because of how much it reconfigures their body. Of course, the moon was destroyed at this point in time, which is what leads to Vegeta deciding to go down to the Earth and use his ability that he only uses once for some reason in this franchise, which is that he creates his own false moon. After explaining in depth exactly how the Ozaru transformation works, in which the Blutz waves are absorbed through the eyes of the Saiyan from the moon after being reflected from the sunlight onto it, and then in turn, it causes them to go through that metamorphosis. Now, the second that Vegeta does this, he actually makes himself significantly weaker than he was before. He has to put a lot of energy into forming this attack. And no, unlike the original English dub says, Bardock didn't create this, nor was he a brilliant scientist. And Goku even points this out. His power dropped the moment he made that weird light. To go that far, what could he be planning? He throws this up in there, burst and mix, and what do we see? It creates a false moon that causes Vegeta to become the Ozaru. This leads to the revelation that Goku was the one that actually killed his own grandfather when he was a kid by accident after transforming when he looked at the full moon, and the reason why Kami wanted to remove his tail, as we could see down here. But nonetheless, Goku at this point is easily handled and defeated by Vegeta, having his body broken, getting most of his bones just shattered and crushed by the strength of Vegeta on display, and being to the point where Vegeta was about to kill him. But really, when you think about it, did Vegeta even need to transform into an Ozaru to beat Goku in the first place? I don't really think that that's the case, because the fact that we could see all this preceding evidence. Like, for example, after Goku used that Kamehameha with the Kaioken ×4, he was so damaged, so hurt, and his power was likely so much lower than it was before, let alone not being able to really continue to put it out because of his damaged body, that what fight could he have really put up against Vegeta after all of that? Not to mention, Vegeta didn't even really take that much damage from this Kamehameha. He actually lost more energy using this attack, as Goku points out right here, than he did when he was taking that damage. Not just that, but even in this weakened state and an even weaker state, after what happens when Yajirobe cuts his tail off and he returns back to his normal form, he's still really strong and able to put up a fight against Gohan and Krillin and be able to get the better of them. And even then, he's able to take this Spirit Bomb, which had about half the energy within it that it did before, and take it, damaging him. And, everyone at this point thought that Vegeta was going to be killed until, like a horror movie villain, his eyes shot back open and he started to shout out one-liners about digging a grave for themselves, and then got right back up and proceeded to fight one more time. It wasn't until Gohan himself became an Ozaru and then fell directly on top of Vegeta that he eventually ended up being defeated in the process. And even then, he still wasn't dead and was able to escape, only being spared by Krillin after Goku asked him to. And Goku even mentions how much of a waste he thought it would have been if he had let him kill Vegeta right then and there, because after I finished training with Kaio-sama, I thought that I'd reached my peak. But then I saw Vegeta fight, and he far surpassed me in just about every way you can think of. To be honest, it surprised me. I hadn't felt that way since the first time I fought with Piccolo. But at the same time, deep down, when I see somebody that powerful, I get excited, and my heart starts to race. Maybe it's because I'm a Saiyan too. I want to prove to myself that I'm stronger than Vegeta, that I can beat him with my own ability. I know this is wrong, but please, I want another chance to fight with him someday. So Goku himself admitted that Vegeta was far superior to him in every way that he can even imagine. And this is the case even before he became an Ozaru, because even if Goku became an Ozaru, he wouldn't be able to control himself just like Vegeta could, and, you know, unless he could become an Ozaru and use Kaioken on top of that, he would still get his butt handed to him by Vegeta, and he would still need to use higher degrees of the Kaioken on top of Ozaru just to be able to match up to him at the same time. So when you think about it and you factor in all the evidence that comes together, did Vegeta truly need to become an Ozaru, as we could see right here, in order to defeat Goku, or could he have done it on his own? Let's get into that conclusion right now. So did Vegeta really need to transform into an Ozaru or Great Ape in order to defeat Goku in the Saiyan Saga, or could he have done it in just his regular base form? Well, ultimately, I feel like all of the evidence points to the latter, that Vegeta actually didn't need to transform, he just thought he did because of the fact that he didn't realize all of the limitations and ramifications of the Kaioken. Goku himself said that he would be the one to lose first if everything continued at that rate. We saw that Vegeta didn't really take that much damage from Goku's Kamehameha, and even after weakening himself with his own technique, after getting his tail cut off, after getting hit with the Spirit Bomb, and after having an Ozaru fall right on top of him, the guy still didn't die, and was still able to fight back up until the very last moment, where he was crawling back to his ship and not able to move at that point just because of how much damage he took, which was way more likely than even Goku took at that point in time, other than, you know, the brute force trauma of getting his bones broken. So the fact of the matter is that Vegeta himself likely would have been able to win without even transforming at that point. And so that's why Hey guys, it's Mike here, and a little while back on my channel, I discussed how planet busting works in Dragon Ball Z, which you could see in the top right corner. But now, what I'm going to be doing is taking that to the next level, and discussing exactly how solar system busting works in Dragon Ball Z and the overall franchise. So before I begin, if you're new to this channel and you like this content, consider subscribing and enabling notifications so you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Additionally, if you like this content, leave a like down below. Let me know your own thoughts in the comments. Share this video out. All of that will really help people see even more content like this so I can make even more in the future. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first and really only example in the original Dragon Ball manga of a solar system buster level feat comes down to the final climactic showdown between Super Perfect Cell after he returns from his self-destruction going up against Gohan. Now, Cell had powered up significantly after his self-destruction, as he explains right here. Not only was he able to fully regenerate from his semi-perfect Cell form all the way back into his perfect, but additionally got a large boost in power, as he explains right here, due to his brush with death from his Saiyan cells, the Zenkai boost, which I also broke down in depth in a video you can see in the top right corner with how Zenkai boosts work in Dragon Ball. Now, with what he says right here, he came back even more perfect than ever with the ability to teleport. Now, as everything goes on, Gohan gets injured. We've all seen it before. And if you haven't yet, well, you should definitely read the manga or check out the anime, because this section is really great. But nonetheless, Cell begins to charge up his Kamehameha in order to kind of punctuate the section here with defeating Gohan with his father's ultimate technique, which of course was invented by Master Roshi, not Goku. But either way, the fact of the matter is, as Cell continues to power up more and more, channeling his energy, eventually he says right here, as you can see, I have enough chi to blow away the entire solar system. So after accumulating enough power in his body and channeling it into this blast, he now has enough power to destroy the entire solar system. Now, how exactly would this actually work in reality, though? This is why I decided to make this into an entire video, because even though I did briefly touch on it in that other video, I feel like this is something that really needs to be expanded more, because there are a lot of questions that come up. For example, earlier on in the fight, when Cell was just perfect Cell, when he was fighting against Gohan, who had overpowered him as a Super Saiyan 2, he flew up into the air, realizing that he would not be able to defeat Gohan, and decided to pull a Frieza here, which I'll also get into that feat later on, and decided to charge up his Kamehameha. As he says right here, yes, a Kamehameha at full power. Dodge and the earth will be pulp. You'll have to take it head on. So interestingly, Cell right here is saying that even with this giant Kamehameha, where he's putting all of his power directly into it and firing it down at Gohan, all that's going to happen, according to this, is that he would be able to destroy the Earth, not the entire solar system. And even when Gohan fires his Kamehameha directly at Cell's, sending it back, hitting Cell, and then going off into space, it doesn't blow up, it doesn't destroy the solar system or anything like that, or any planet that we can know of. Maybe it hits one eventually, years in the future, who really knows. But the fact of the matter is, nothing really occurs. Now, a lot of this also comes down, as I discussed in my previous video, which I talked about before, to intention. Cell is up in the air right now. He has the intention of destroying the Earth with his Kamehameha. However, the question is, with his full power right here, is this all he would be able to destroy? Or with this power, would he be able to also destroy the solar system if he were to theoretically, I don't know, split up the one large blast into, 9 or even more little blasts that'd be able to hit each planet simultaneously, along with the sun, that maybe he'd be able to direct the majority of the energy into. After all, if we go back to earlier on to the first example of a Planet Buster level feat in Dragon Ball Z in the Dragon Ball manga, this happens during the fight between Vegeta and Goku. Now remember, Vegeta only has a power level of 18,000. And when he goes to channel his power into his Gallic Gun, his power does increase a little bit to being around 24,000. Because Goku charges up his Kamehameha with the Kaioken times 3, his power level is a little bit above 8,000 at this point, and then he's able to match up to Vegeta's attack, which Vegeta himself said before earlier on in the fight would be able to reduce the entire planet to ashes. And so, as a result, you have to wonder if Vegeta with a power level of 24,000, and of course, if we want to use the filler where he attacks Arlia, he isn't putting out anywhere near this amount of power, and yet he's still able to destroy it. Same thing with King Vegeta, where he destroys a planet with, a very simple looking blast in a flashback in the Namek arc to, when Vegeta was a kid and he observed everything happening. The fact of the matter is that when we see this occurring with Vegeta at 18,000 powering up to around 24-ish, and then we see Cell, who is vastly more powerful, firing a full power Kamehameha, you have to wonder, why wouldn't Cell be able to destroy the entire solar system, or vastly more than that, even right now at this point? Same thing happens with Frieza. Now, as we know, Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta, which was a planet that had 10 times the gravity of the Earth, and if physics work relatively the same in the Dragon Ball universe, this should mean that it has 10 times the density or mass overall than planet Earth does. In other effect, this would mean that it would be essentially like Frieza destroyed 10 Earths by destroying Planet Vegeta. And he did this in just his first form, or really his fourth form, his most suppressed form, which had a power level of 530,000. Of course, his power level in his final form, at his 100% bulked up, is 120 million, whereas he can go up to 70% of that power in this lesser form, this kind of just normal base form that we could see right here, with his 70% power level being somewhere in the 80 million range. However, with that being said, he still kind of has to charge up this blast a little bit and charge up his power before he launches it at planet Namek. And this is like the first feat that we actually get to see of somebody destroying a planet on screen in the manga. However, even then, when Frieza at this massive
stream.
he still holds back significantly according to his own words and only destroys it through a chain reaction. So again, we have to wonder if Vegeta was only going to destroy the Earth here with a chain reaction by attacking the core if Goku did not match it. And additionally, if that's the case, you have to also wonder, wouldn't Frieza, with, like I just showed before, the ability to destroy a planet 10 times the gravity of Earth, be able to, in the very same form, be able to destroy, 10 Earths simultaneously if you were to separate that one giant blast and fire it simultaneously at 10 different planets, which, could theoretically make up an entire solar system, disregarding the star. Or maybe he could destroy a little star, and then the supernova would destroy all the planets in the solar system as well. However, it's never told to us at any point that Frieza would be a solar system buster, even though in this form, at his full power, he'd be over 1,000 times by far more powerful than Vegeta, many thousands of times in fact. And of course, Cell here as Perfect Cell is also vastly more powerful than Frieza was on Namek, even in...
And that's how Dragon Ball scale gets really wacky, and even kind of falls in on itself when you think about it like that. Because when you actually start scaling Dragon Ball for real, you learn that a lot of the statements don't hold up. In fact, the statements themselves actually downplayed the characters in the show significantly.
His 120 million 100% full power form, and so as a result, should not Cell with a full power Kamehameha that we could see right here also be able to destroy the entire solar system with ease at this point? Or is there some kind of disparity that we're not really told about that he only makes up when he gets the power up here? After all, how many times more powerful did Cell really become when he became Super Perfect Cell? I don't think he became many tens or hundreds or even thousands of times more powerful to where he would be able to make up, the disparity between destroying a small planet and destroying the sun in the solar system. And so as a result, you have to kind of wonder the question of why couldn't Cell have destroyed the solar system, or Goku or Vegeta or anyone else at the Cell games at this point, when they were so far above Frieza in this form, who is also so far above himself in this form, which destroyed a planet that was 10 times the gravity of planet Earth. You have to kind of wonder how all of that really makes sense in universe, and maybe if it all just comes down merely to intention. And again, the point of maybe, even imperfect Cell could have theoretically destroyed the solar system when you really think about everything like that, but he didn't have the intention to do so because obviously he wasn't planning to. Whereas Cell here, when he's charging up his full power attack, is saying that he's able to. However, I think a lot of it also comes down to out of universe. What really comes down to here is that Toriyama instead wanted to kind of show off, a really big feat of power. So when he has Cell charging up his Kamehameha, he's like, well, this obviously would be way more powerful than enough to destroy a planet. This is the most powerful villain who is way more powerful than Frieza, a guy who blew up planets casually. So naturally, let's say that he could destroy a solar system. Obviously, a star is way bigger and a lot harder to destroy theoretically than a planet would be in this situation, but still, nonetheless, you'd have to wonder if they would be able to easily destroy a solar system earlier, or if Vegeta could have done it with his final flash, if Goku could have done it when he used the Kamehameha against Cell, that blasted off his top half, and, if Cell could have used the exact same level of power here that he was using to fire at Gohan, that I guess he assumed he'd be able to overpower Gohan with, while also destroying the Earth, to, instead use the intention to destroy the solar system. Another thing is, too, that there would be different ways to destroy the solar system, of course, when we actually break it down logically. Like, for example, maybe Cell, when he's talking about destroying a solar system here, means that his power would be so massive that he would fire a blast and it would explode in the center of the solar system, at the star, and then the explosion would have a radius so gigantic that would eclipse the entire solar system in one giant explosion. Whereas with the prior explosions that you'd be able to utilize with, let's say, this Kamehameha right here, the explosion radius would not be large enough to encompass the entire solar system. Instead, he would rather be able to, dynamic when he destroyed the core of the planet, which would then in turn lead it to exploding within 5 minutes. Instead, Cell would fire a Kamehameha at the sun, which would then cause it to do a very similar thing and go and cause a chain reaction that would then turn cause a supernova and blow up everything in the solar system. And, you know, I guess that anything it wouldn't destroy would then go spiraling off into space and be destroyed kind of that way in effect anyway. I mean, when it talks about destroying a solar system, when we use the word destroy, or, you know, in this case, in this translation, Cell is saying blow away the entire solar system, it doesn't mean that he has to deatomize or completely vaporize everything in it, just that he has to disrupt it enough to where that solar system really doesn't exist in the same capacity it does anymore. So theoretically, again, when it comes down to this, it could be an explosion radius big enough to encapsulate and completely vaporize everything. It could be, you know, this blast would separate and destroy everything in the solar system one, you know, hit at a time and blow everything up and destroy them that way. Or, you know, it could be a big blast that would just bulldoze everything around in like a circle and then, you know, destroy everything that way. Although, again, when we really think about it, we can even look back at movies like, you know, the first Cooler movie, for example, where Goku blasts Cooler into the sun with Cooler's
But this is the thing, and people get this really misconstrued. This is where AP and DC differentiate. You don't have to destroy something to be that level. All you have to do is affect it to a significant degree. An example of this: Goku's Kamehameha has never destroyed a fucking planet, but you will not hear nobody or they mama say that this nigga isn't at least planetary by Z. Nobody. Because why? He fought Frieza, and Frieza's destroyed planets. And the fact that Goku's attacks and shit, his movement can keep up with it, or affect Frieza to that level to any significant degree, makes Goku planetary in AP, not DC. Although he could use his DC to destroy a planet, because Dragon Ball operates more in the realm of both AP and DC being relative. But DC just requires more output than AP. But regardless, which is why, yeah, Goku's punches are universal or whatnot when he's clashing with Beerus and literally ripping the universe apart. But his punches will not do as much damage as his Kamehameha. Because his Kamehameha is his DC, or more so, it can be used that way. Because the Kamehameha, like in this instance, can destroy the solar system. So yeah, but that doesn't mean that Goku's punch wouldn't be able to deflect Cell's solar system level Kamehameha. So those are two different things. So Goku doesn't have to do something to actually be it. And that is especially stupid because since I debate a lot of Naruto shit, I hear that a lot where people like to downplay him and say, oh, he's not planetary, he's not this and that. When did he do that? Or he only fought a moon. First off, to debunk the moon level shit, he didn't even take damage from that hit. And second of all, like I explained, and this is a perfect example of it, you don't need to destroy something to actually be that level. Like, Rayleigh didn't destroy the planet, like she didn't blow it up in the Dragon Ball Super, but she's planetary because she cracked it in half, albeit in a cartoonish fashion. But that's her affecting the planet to a significant degree. So that would make her planetary. The cannon that Eggman shot at the Earth to resurrect that demon thing in fucking Sonic Unleashed, where it literally fragmented the planet into like 7 pieces or some shit. That being is planetary. It affected the planet down to its core.
Death explosion attack that, you know.
Or it has to have the required energy to do so.
the big death ball that was basically what Frieza used against the plant Vegeta, but obviously much stronger.
My favorite argument for that is you taking 2 grenades. 1 grenade you throw out in the open field, and 1 grenade you put in a titanium box. The explosion is going to be the same, but they affect 2 different area of effects because one is allowed to expand while one is being condensed and controlled. Hence key control, hence chakra control, One Piece, hence hockey and other type of shit. Bleach, spiritual pressure and control. You could control the output. You don't have to just blow shit up.
One that Goku fired at Cooler with the Kamehameha and sent him into the sun. And it basically looked like he blew up the sun in that particular movie, even though obviously the people who made that aren't scientists. They probably didn't think, maybe if we destroy the sun, it would also destroy the Earth and, disrupt everything in the solar system. That explosion definitely looked pretty big. Although at the same time, the family Kamehameha that sent Broly through the sun also somehow didn't destroy it. And you can argue that that explosion would have been much, more powerful than theoretically anything that Cell would have been able to put out here. So when it comes down to this, it definitely isn't the most consistent, as we know feats in Dragon Ball definitely always aren't. But with that being said,
they aren't. But the movies are worse.
I think that I've explained kind of how a solar system buster level attack theoretically would work based upon a number of different scenarios that could play out from this situation, and that anyone with a high enough level of power and the intention behind it would be able to do exactly that. But alright guys, this has been my explanation of how solar system busting works in Dragon Ball Z. Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you're new here, again, consider subscribing and enabling notifications so you can stay tuned to all my future videos. Leave a like, share this video out, and thanks for
Zenitsu, Tanjiro! Bye-bye, Soul Reaper.
Or not even one more, I got 2 more actually. This that I wanted to react to before.
I wish that all the main villains can become the protagonists of their shows.
Your wish has been granted.
Doesn't that mean that Kaguya becomes the protagonist?
Oh, it's hot as hell out here. I don't know how those monkeys do it.
Hey, neighbor, don't see you guys outside much.
Death thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty boring without the circus of monkeys trying to stop everything we do.
Well, this is the first time that we're all protagonists, Frieza.
First time, Orochimaru?
Pain! Get the fuck off my dick, god damn! You got something to say every time I say something.
Heated his ass up. Boruto has made you soft.
Light, make sure you take out the trash.
Take out the trash? I'm already cooking like it's fucking food wars in this bitch. Oh my god. Alright. Just chill, light, chill.
And be sure to bring a water with that sandwich, big boy.
Water? Water? I got your fucking water right here in my dick. Light, calm down. Alright, be grateful. We accomplished everything we needed to accomplish. The heroes are dead. L is dead. We're good. I don't mind doing this shit, we're good.
Ah, looks like you get to live another day, huh, book boy? Congratulations.
Thanks, Frieza. And Light. Y'all thirsty?
Yeah.
Yes. Get 6 waters for us.
Let me get a Gatorade.
And a Gatorade.
Light the trash. And hurry the fuck up.
Honestly, it's not so bad here. Because all I ever wanted was a perfect world. And with this group, it can finally be accomplished. We all have similar goals. This is what I wanted. Living with the villains, heroes dead, L dead. I can't complain. It's what niggas think I would say. I hate these motherfuckers more than L, I think. And I didn't know that was possible. So I came up with one last plan to take everybody out. Ever since we made that wish for all the villains to become the protagonists, I've been thinking, I think that only I should be the protagonist. Because these niggas, oh, I see why they were villains. Oh, shit.
Nigga, why you look like that? Bro, you definitely don't get no hoes, nigga. What's wrong with you? You about to go to a business meeting? No, hell no. You not about to get that job looking like that, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. What's wrong with you, bro? It's okay, bro. Just take off that wig. You gonna be good, bro. What? What is that, your hit list? Hey, nigga, just know I got the stick on me, boy. Just know that, nigga. Bro, get rid of that fucking hat on your head, boy. Let's go. What do you want, Light? Why'd you bring us here?
The cartoon house. The light of the universe. Animated shows we all love. Thanks for meeting me here.
I'm not gonna ask again, Light. What do you want?
Whoa. Relax, Robin. I'm not Slade. I'm not gonna put you in a hospital over a daydream.
Okay, bitch. Cartoon house.
Wait, guys. Look,
Fucking plan.
I'm sorry. I only asked you to meet me here so we could team up. We have to stop the villain house. They're evil. They're out of control.
Team up? Light, you can't go 30 seconds without holding somebody. We would never trust you.
What? 30 seconds? I do that all the time.
Look, I say you just let me cut him up right now, and we be done with this.
Jack. Samurai Jack, what are you gonna do to the villains in the house? Huh? Please stop. All right, just stop. Who do y'all even have? Dexter? Yeah, I see you over there. I know you're trying to hide. What are you and Dee Dee cooking up? Let me know. Or Mandark, or that super squad with the monkey on the team? In your laboratory. Like, come on. Gotta catch them all because he's Danny Phantom. Like, you gonna do something? Huh? They have eyes in there. You're gonna get your ass cut the second you walk through the door. And Ben, you standing back there. I know. I read all about you. You have all those powers, the Omnitrix, everything like that, huh?
Yeah, and?
Isaac can change your senses and make you kill everybody on your team. And they're already prepared for you. I heard them talk about it. You need me. I have all the inside information. And we're the protagonists now. So you know what we have? Every villain in that house has plot armor. Do you know how strong plot armor is? Naruto beat Pain with plot armor. Everything Sasuke does is plot armor. Eren getting bit by the Titan and turn it into a type plot armor. If I had a gun and I shot you right now, you would die. But if you shot me, it'd miss a vital organ. That's what plot armor does. And that's why I wanted it. So I'm not going to tell you why I want the villains gone. But just know we have similar goals.
You're right, Light. But there's something that's confusing me.
What could be confusing you, Robin?
Weren't you already the protagonist of Death Note? Which would make L the antagonist, right? But according to the wish that you guys made, you made all villains protagonists. So does that make L the protagonist now?
No, I wasn't. No. I beat L fair and square.
I was not.
Think about it, Light. The only reason you beat L was because you have plot armor.
L was the protagonist. He stopped me every time. I don't give a fuck. No. The villains still have plot armor. It doesn't matter if I'm the protagonist or antagonist. You can't beat them. Y'all don't have enough strength to beat them.
You know what, Light? Maybe we don't have the strength to.
Exactly.
But we know somebody that does.
What? No. Madara! Did you leave Luffy alive?
Like, who are you yelling at? And besides, even if I did, what would that weak little pirate do to me?
Madara, the plan was to kill them all. Light, don't tell me you're scared. You niggas just don't fucking listen. I'll do it myself.
So this is the legendary Gear 5.
Yo, no,
Domain.
get the fuck out of here.
Expansion. Gomu, no! Domain. Expansion. What's up, y'all? RDC World here now. Let's go ahead and get it out the way. Anime House was a short episode. I understand, but it's an OVA, and if you know, OVAs are special episodes, but it does matter to the series, and trust me, it connects to Anime House 7 so beautifully. So y'all show us some love, support it, like it, comment, share it with your friends, and guess what? Anime House 7 will be out quick. And since we're on videos, here's some more updates. We got Back and Forth coming out this week and a Dreamtime vlog. Now, if you're looking for Video Game House and all other videos you're looking for, hey, I'm feeling generous. The all's coming. They're all coming, but I'm just telling you what's coming out this week, Back and Forth them, okay? Now, do not leave yet because we got a big, oh my God, a humongous announcement. But right before that, if you don't know, we have our own website now, rdcuniverse.com. Right? Subscription-based website. It's going to have all our videos on there first, and it will have all new information first on that site. You better go get it. Subscribe. All the money does come to us to help us out so we can make our own type of production studios and stuff, and we got one in the works. Trust me, and it's a great one. I promise you, man. It's not a bad idea. Go get it. You already paying for Netflix and Disney and Hulu and 20 other unnamed shit. Now here is the announcement.
No
Dark Lights, first chapter is finished. 72 pages long, and I want y'all boys to read it. We're working on getting it on a big website. Like I can't say the names right now, but trust me, it's in the works right now. You will not have to wait much longer to read Dark Lights first chapter. It's gonna be 72 pages. But oh my gosh, if you don't know what Dark Lights is, it's RDC World's anime, written by me and Philip Gelat of Love, Death, and Robots, drawn by Georgia and Edith. Now, trust me, y'all.
Trust me, it's worth it. I love that show. I believe in it wholeheartedly. It's gonna be a great anime. But I want to show y'all something that, because I know people are like,
They've
damn,
been
Dark
talking
Light's
about
this,
this
Dark
for a
Light's that,
minute.
but you'll never
They
show
finally
us
got
nothing.
it.
I'm gonna
They
show
finally
you
got it coming.
some of the. I'm gonna show you. Oh my god. I'm gonna show you the animatic. Just a piece of it. The animatic's been finished for a while, but I just want to show you a piece of it, just so you know what you gotta look forward to on Dark Lights. Here it is.
His arms. What the fuck? Is his power gorilla strength? Bro, JJ is really a dog, man. He really out there banging with him. You know he can do that, Z?
What y'all think about that? Y'all gonna have to tell me in the comments. Like, comment about Anime House and comment about the animatic. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I loved it, obviously. Come on now. And shout out to Powerhouse for for animating that. And hey man, y'all make sure to follow Supreme Dreams on Instagram and on Twitter so you can get updates for all of this. Go right now. Go do it right now. All right. And RDC World on Instagram and Twitter as well, and TikTok. All right. We got a lot of stuff coming. I promise you. This is like RDC World season 2, but it's the peak season. Yeah, y'all thought it was no, it's a peak season now. RDC World up, man.
Alright, and for the last video we was gonna react to, it is this.
So as you know, Dr. Umar Johnson is a hilarious individual. And despite all of his talent, the guy is all talk. He's kind of like a big, brutal dog that barks real loud and he never really bites. And you would think that if you're not going to bite anybody, you would stop talking. But no, Dr. Umar Johnson barks even louder. And even though he's a dog that never bites, people still like to hype him up as if he is the champ. But Dr. Umar Johnson is still, in many ways, very foolish, although I am still a fan. And he made himself look quite stupid with this whole Sukiyana situation. Now remember, Sukiyana is a young lady that's going around doing a lot of egregious things. Over-sexualizing herself, letting ladies lick, her down there on concerts, putting guys' feet in her mouth, doing stuff on OnlyFans, all kind of crazy stuff. And it's really been problematic because it's a very bad stereotype, not only on some of the women in the community, but the black community as a whole. So because of that, Dr. Umar Johnson reached out to say he wanted to meet Sukiyana to talk about her public behavior in something that led to a campaign that dealt with black women and girls. Now, that is very interesting. And once Dr. Umar put that out, Sukiyana responded. And according to Dr. Umar, she said this.
Umar, and I will make him woke right now. She said, I want to be intimate with Dr. Umar, and I will make him woke right now. That's what my sister Suki Hana from Wilmington, Delaware said. That's what my sister Suki Hana from Wilmington, Delaware said.
One more time.
That's what my sister Suki Hana from Wilmington, Delaware said. And then she said, if Dr. Umar met me, he would shoot his shot because he would see that I'm a chocolate, beautiful, conscious queen in need of a little guidance and some daddy issues.
Now, of course, it seems like Dr. Umar was flattered. I mean, he does look like he's somewhat interested. And when she did respond in that way, Dr. Umar caught a lot of slack. And in his, in Dr. Umar's fashion, he somehow correlated the slack that he was getting from meeting Sukiyana to have something to do with heterosexual black men. Again, I don't know how he made that connection, but again, when you're delusional, you don't need any reason to make the connection. Just try to make it. And so here was his response.
I will not make excuses for my sister Sukihana's content. But the sister has as much right to make a mistake and then correct it as you and I do.
Cause ain't no way. Why you lying? Why is he lying? Cause he don't even believe that bullshit. No, I ain't gonna lie. He funny as fuck.
And many of you who want to cancel her outright have overlooked evil and wrongdoing in the black community that has been worse than what she is doing. How many people we got who have taken the life of other people and we still celebrate them right now? How many in our community have been accused and even have been proven to be and we overlooked their behavior because they are celebrities? How many have robbed and stolen and killed and abused elders and women and you overlook their wrong? So all I'm saying, don't be a hypocrite when it comes to the black woman when you have overlooked the sins of black men.
Nigga, that's what you doing. That's what you doing right now. Alright, bro.
I'm saying is don't be a hypocrite when it comes to black women when you have overlooked the sins of black men. There are black men who have said and done some of the same things.
What the fuck? What does this got to do with that, though?
Sukihana has said and done, and they have not been canceled. All I'm saying...
Nah, bro. It sounded like she really was going to put it on you. You really want the cheeks, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that's what it sounds like. Cause you sure do not got this same tone with the niggas. And now they calling you out for it. And then this the response? How do you grift and then bring it back to niggas? The conversation is about you kissing ass. To her. And this nigga trying to bring up the greater evil. We ain't talking about that, nigga. We talking about you.
Is be honest in your criticism.
We are.
Be balanced in your condemnation. All I'm saying is don't have one set of standards for elite celebrities and a completely separate set of standards.
She's not an elite celebrity, though.
For upcoming celebrities. That's all I'm saying, brothers and sisters.
An elite celebrity is Jay-Z. She ain't Jay-Z. I'm sorry.
So eventually the meeting happened, and you're looking at the photo in the background. That is Dr. Umar Johnson and Sukiyana, and of course, that was supposed to change her behavior. But it didn't. Doesn't seem like, because once we asked Dr. Umar Johnson what was about the meeting, he said this.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. This is your big brother King Kong consciousness. Dr. Umar Ifatunde.
This nigga sound like he going through post-that clarity. You could hear it. That man is too relaxed. This nigga ain't never that relaxed in not in one of his videos. She definitely put something on.
Notorious one, RBG.
Nah,
Chicago, I am in the building.
Relaxed.
We're going to talk about the war against Black Chicago today. We're going to talk about the war against Black Chicago.
How you go from talking about black men to you getting caught out about not having the same energy with a black woman because she talking about she want to put it on you. Now you, the next day, you calm as fuck talk about, we're going to talk about some wars in Chicago. Damn. And then you still in the bitch. So, bro, we know what it is, bro.
Today, I need y'all to focus in, brothers and sisters. Y'all worrying about the wrong things right now.
Nah,
we're talking about liberation of African people. It is politics over the Punani. Stop worrying about. Shout out to my Miami family. I want to give a special shout out to my Miami family. Y'all turned up and turned out yesterday. The sisters were looking marvelous. The Miami queens were looking marvelous yesterday, weren't they? Every size, every shape, every color. I wasn't paying attention though because I was too focused on the revolution. I was not paying attention to all that Miami beauty because I was too focused on the revolution, brothers and sisters. But Miami turned up and turned out. Much love to Miami. We're going to see what's popping in Chicago today at the Bantu Festival. Stop worrying about my sister Sukihana. Stop worrying about my sister Sukihana. She good. Suki.
Nah, that's more than your sister, cuz. What's going on in this? Oh, shit. Oh, man. What you got going on in the background? What's going on the bottom half of this? What's going on in the bottom half? What's going on?
Right now. Suki chilling right now. Stop worrying about my sister.
Chilling right now. You tweak it. He said, "Don't worry about it. She chilling." Nah, nigga, you chilling. What the fuck?
Suki chilling right now. Let her relax. Let her relax right now.
Ah, shit.
Let Suki relax right now.
He's funny.
Thank you. Stop worrying about my queendom. Stop worrying about the Ifatunde queendom.
Nah, bro.
Stop.
He's a clown. But I mean, this is how he get his bitches. I ain't gonna lie. That pandering shit is crazy, G. I ain't gonna lie. That shit is crazy.
Worrying about the Ifatunde queendom. Worry about your own queendom.
Nah. Notice how he talking about worry about your own, but he the only nigga. I ain't gonna say the only nigga, but he the main nigga that's worried about every other nigga. Keep in mind how he stayed trying to harp on black niggas. Now they calling him out, and he's talking about, oh, don't worry about the queen, don't worry. No, why it's always we don't gotta worry about them, but you always worrying about us. But you ain't got nothing to say, bro. You's a clown.
She said, I'm a Christian woman. I ain't got no business on this man's page lusting after him. Don't worry about that, sister. You still an African queen. It's okay for you to lust after the King Kong of consciousness.
Again, it was all about how many queens he has and the Umar Queen fan club. And I mean, of course, this is what Dr. Umar does. He's self-aggrandizing. But even worse, your brother Mark Cruz sent me this clip of Sukihana out in Little Rock. And, of course, at the end, we're going to cut out the twerking clip. But this is what Sukihana is doing after meeting Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's see what she's doing now.
Listen, I just did my show in Little Rock with Sukihana, and y'all shut up for y'all said y'all turn around so they was Little Rock, Arkansas. They want to see what Little Rock look like. What is this, KT? And then you know your proof.
guys, unfortunately, Sukiyana is doing the same thing that she was doing before meeting Dr. Umar. That was the same thing. And of course, nothing came about of Black Women's and Girls Campaign. Black women were used once again.
No, they weren't. Something did come out of it. Him. What are you talking about? He came out of it. What do you mean?
Black women were used yet again as a proxy to help the career of Dr. Umar Johnson, to get him some more credibility by using, Sukiyana's platform to pretty much get him a larger audience, and then Black women still pay the price. I mean, this is what happens when you have guys who say they support you as Black women, when you have Dr. Umar Johnson who isn't going to do anything for you. I mean, with friends like Dr. Umar Johnson, who really needs enemies? But it comes down to the point that a man with no infrastructure, no way to help himself, and no way really to benefit the Black community, he has no ability to help Black women. Now, let me kind of give an example of somebody who is the opposite of Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm not saying that Minister Louis Farrakhan doesn't have issues, but Minister Louis Farrakhan, the thing I like about him is he has infrastructure. So when a woman comes into the Nation of Islam, you have to change your behavior to stay there, because there's infrastructure there that you can be a part of, and there's a community around, what you're talking about that will help you change. But see, you can't be like that when you have nothing to offer anybody. When you're just pretty much a clown and you're going around running your mouth just so that you can get more donations and beg, when you really don't have anything to offer any of these women, except for the fact that what you want to be is somewhat of a guy who's getting, a lot of respect from ladies. Again, you want them to be jocking you, but you don't have any real infrastructure to do anything. And that's pretty much all he's reduced to. And for any Black man who is taking Black women's side, I mean, you're not going to be able to change them. Number one, if you're talking like Dr. Umar Johnson, right? Because that's ridiculous. And then number two, you don't really mean it, right? You don't mean what you're talking about. There's no real way that you mean what you're talking about. And you need to have infrastructure in the Black community. You need somebody to sacrifice to build these communities, to put things there for these women to be able to participate in. There has to be a reason why those women want to be in the Black community in the first place. And if you want them to change their behavior, you're going to have infrastructure. You need to put them in nice housing. You need to go ahead and make sure they can help develop the communities. You need to have investment there. There are things that you need to do to take care of these women to be a part of your community. Why should they serve you when they can go out here and make thousands upon thousands of dollars, doing some of these, interesting things that Sukiyana's doing, like, I don't know, putting people's feet in her mouth and twerking outside in Little Rock, Arkansas. She can do that and get some support. Why does she need to clean up herself and listen to somebody like Dr. Umar Johnson, who probably behind closed doors ain't got no problem with, Sukiyana doing what she does? And that's just the reality. A lot of Black men like Dr. Umar Johnson, you want to be able to consult with women in private, so you say, or to help them change their ways, when you're not offering anything to help them change their ways, but yet you're criticizing Black men, and you're just in the same boat as those guys are talking about, because there's nothing about Black women that you take care of. In fact, you're taking their money. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy Shay Duke Jackson, back at it again with an episode of A Celebrity Jump. Appreciate you for all you just heard the bell. We're out.
Well, that's the end of that video.
So
And you want this. You remember you said earlier, you want this.
I don't care about all that. That's the end of that video. Now, let me flip that. I'll catch y'all in the next stream. The next stream probably gonna be around 9 o'clock. I'm gonna be streaming Red Dead again on Xbox. So go ahead, tune in to Twitch. Tune into my go check out my Twitch. I streamed last night. I streamed Red Dead last night. It was kind of funny. It was kind of lit. So go ahead and check that out. My username is @Demond the Savior. So yeah, go ahead and peep out. I'll stream video games over there. But if you want to see me more active, I'm more active on my YouTube and TikTok. YouTube, Chatterbox CJ. You already know if you're already here. And if you don't know, come check me out. And on TikTok, you can go ahead and look me up as CJ the Savior. But until next time, I catch y'all. Peace out.